Hey guys, it's ERBOI, and today we are going to be doing a review of the 2011 BMW 335i xDrive with the M Sport package. So, let's get on to doing the review. Don't want to mess it up this early. Oh, that's cool, it's got the parking sensors. So basically, as a little bit of history, BMW has been making the 3 Series for a long time, and throughout many of its generations, it has seen a lot of different engines, transmissions, and various powertrains. And at least when it comes to the huge name that this one has, what that means is that it is a turbocharged N55 engine, which is 3 liters, 6 cylinders, and turbo, as I mentioned. What xDrive means is that this car also has BMW's intelligent all-wheel drive system, which means that you get some great traction for wintertime driving, along with a very stable vehicle. Now this car in particular was special optioned and actually made in Germany specifically for the owner. And another thing that we have to announce about this car, speaking of the owner, is that it is in fact for sale. So if you're at all interested in purchasing this car, we're going to have more information on the car and on contact information in the description down below, so make sure to check that out if you want to be the proud owner of this car. But just because this car has practical all-wheel drive and 4 doors doesn't mean that this car is any slouch. Back in the day when this thing was tested for 0 to 60, it could do 5.6 seconds, which is equivalent to a lot of its competition, and even better than some of it as well. Back in the day, this car competed against the Mercedes C300, the Infiniti G35, along with a lot of other small luxury performance sedans, although it can be argued that this definitely has more of a performance edge than any of its competitors. Immediately when driving this car, you notice that the gas pedal is actually hinged at the floor, which gives it a more sporty feel and makes it a lot more responsive when you initially tip into it. Another thing that you notice is that the brakes are also really responsive, so the second that you get your foot on the pedal, the car just immediately wants to slow down. But after all, we're not considering slowing down when we're in a car like this, because this car makes over 300 horsepower, which is not bad at all when you combine it with that 4-wheel drive system. And even though this car does have a 6-speed automatic, it does have paddle shifters and some pretty nice acceleration to get through yellow lights like that. And now because we do have a manual mode, I've now put the car in its manual mode, which allows you to use the paddles or the stick in order to toggle between gears. But as if it already wasn't good enough that this car had all of those goodies that I already mentioned, this also has the M Sport package from BMW, which gives it these really nice wheels, this special M steering wheel which has perforated leather on it, along with an exhaust that I think you would really like the sound of. But another thing that's good about having this car as a 2011 model is it does have a lot of good tech. It has BMW's iDrive system, which is a knob in the center stack that allows you to control many of the car's features, such as its audio system and entertainment. And speaking of this car's audio system, it has a Harman Kardon sound system, which is really loud and is approved by Weston. And if that isn't a recommendation, then I don't know what is. And now, even though this car isn't exactly the M3, it does have pretty much every package offered by BMW, including dual-zone climate control, heated seats, full leather interior, and the automatic, as I mentioned earlier. Now, let's try out some speed humps to see how bad they are on this car. Yeah, and honestly, they're not that bad in this car. One thing that BMW definitely got right with this car was the suspension tuning, because while the car feels very tight and responsive, along with the steering, the bumps aren't that bad. This car represents everything of why people speak so highly of the BMW 3 Series. Even though it seems extremely overrated in every single magazine you look at, you have to drive one to really understand the formula. Because even though BMW has lost their way now, with electronic steering systems that don't seem like they're that connected to the road, this is back when BMW is in their heyday. This car has excellent steering that's very responsive and feels very tight and heavily weighted. And the fact that the steering wheel is so thick only makes it feel even better. Because at the end of the day, you need to realize that BMW basically invented this segment of having a performance sedan that can be driven every single day. And that's what the 3 Series has always excelled at. And adding the additional things to it, like all-wheel drive and all of these technology features, you think would only make it go away from what the real purpose of it is. But if you ask me, it's only improved it. So this car currently has 78,204 miles on it as of my time driving it. And yet, just because of those miles, don't think that this car has not had stuff done to it, because the owner of this car certainly has cared a lot.
It's been garage kept for the entirety of its life. It has Lyman's blue metallic, black Decata leather, M Sport package, 18-inch alloy wheels, new tires as of 75,000 miles, has the premium package, universal remote, moonroof, power heated seats, xDrive, headlight washers, Exxon headlights, automatic climate control, ambient lighting, iPod and USB adapter, Bluetooth, real-time traffic information, navigation system, voice command, and Harman Kardon surround sound. One owner, special order from Germany, July of 2011. Jackie Cooper maintained and performed up to 50,000 miles. High pressure fuel pump replaced at 28. Brake system flushed at 41,000. New battery at 45,000. Recalls up to date. Valve cover replaced at 66,000. Intake valve cleaned at 75,000. BMS oil catch can system installed 75,000 miles. All oil gaskets replaced at 75,000 miles. And alignment at 75,000 miles. And it has Firestone Firehawk Indy 500 tires.
So if that list of features doesn't make you interested in this car, I don't know what will. Whoa. It just accelerates so smooth.
That was 80.
Yep.
That's a surprise.
Now, another thing about this car is that now that we're getting onto some open highway roads, this car feels very stable when it's at speed. That's another thing that you could expect from having a quality German vehicle. Alright, so I'm pretty sure this is going to be a 4th gear pull. Let's go for it. That was 90. This car feels great to drive. It just feels great. Man. I get the hype behind BMWs. I finally get it now. So in conclusion, with our review of the 2011 BMW 335i M Sport with xDrive, I do have to say there's a lot of things that I like and also dislike. On the list of things that I like, it has honestly what I think may be one of the best modern engines of all time, with smooth, readily available power, and honestly, a very distinctive and beautiful sound. The car also has a very well-tuned suspension that's still comfortable for around-town driving. It is also very supportive of sporty driving. The car also has a very unobtrusive all-wheel drive system that has a good amount of rear-wheel bias, which makes the car very fun to drive. And in BMW fashion, the car is beautiful, and it's honestly very well assembled inside and out. Also, the brakes are powerful enough to bolster the tight suspension. But even with all that in mind, there were still some things that I didn't like about it, because, as we all know, no car is perfect. Firstly, I'd have to go onto the car's steering, because having driven a 2007 Infiniti G35 as well, I have to admit that the BMW steering was not as lively and as responsive as the Infiniti's. Because whenever you ran over a bump on the road in the BMW, you wouldn't immediately feel it through the steering wheel the same way you would in the Infiniti. And frankly, BMW has had a bad habit as of late for changing their steering systems to things that are more conservative and less connected to the road than what they used to bring to their cars. Another thing that I didn't like is that the throttle pedal had a very weird response. Initially, the throttle had very low responsiveness, and then once you got to the middle of the pedal, it started getting a lot different in its responsiveness, which I found to be a little annoying and difficult to get used to when I was first driving the car. The brake pedal also had a similar sort of problem in how it immediately bit really hard at the top of the pedal, and that also took some acclimation, although I didn't find it to be as annoying as the throttle pedal. And with this car being a BMW, of course, there are some quirks in it that make it different from its competitors. One thing would be the annoying auto-correcting turn signal, because the real reason why BMW drivers don't use their turn signal is because in this particular 2011 335i, when you flick the turn signal lever, it doesn't stay there and go back to the center when you're finished turning. It immediately goes back to the middle position. So because of that, you can sometimes forget if you have your signal on and it doesn't click very loudly. There's honestly a lot of qualms that I had with that turn signal when I was learning how to drive that car for the first couple minutes. And of course, since the cup holders flip out of the center console area, it means that they're next to useless and they are kind of flimsy, which is something that I think would not be as nice in the car when you're using it as a daily driver. And one item that I have to add about the car, which is sort of a neutral opinion of mine, is that when it comes to the transmission of the vehicle and the technology, they are products of their time. However, I'm not going to consider that as a dislike because frankly, that's what you can expect from a car from 2011, and I don't mind it that much when I drive a car that's from 2002. But with that all being said, the BMW 3 Series has always remained as the definition of what a true compact sports sedan is. And if you like the one that I featured in the video, it is for sale, once again. So if you're shopping for a car in the $20,000 price range and are interested, I will have my email along with another one down in the description below so that way you can get into contact if the car is still for sale. Because keep in mind this video might be old, and at the same time, we might have moved on to looking at other people to sell the car to. So thanks for sitting through this video review, and as always, thanks for watching, and peace out.